Before we begin, a quick and important disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor, attorney, or certified public accountant. The content in this video is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended to be a substitute for professional financial, legal, or tax advice. Real estate investing involves risk, and you should always conduct your own due diligence and consult with licensed professionals before making any investment decisions. What if you could flip a house in Phoenix, Arizona, while sitting on your couch in Portland, Maine with $0 of your own money, no real estate license, and without ever stepping foot on the property? It sounds like some late-night infomercial fantasy, right? The kind of thing you'd roll your eyes at. But what if I told you it's not only possible, it's a legitimate business model that thousands of ordinary people across the United States are using right now to generate 5- and even 6-figure paychecks from their laptops? This isn't a glitch in the system. It's a fundamental shift in how real estate deals get done. It's called Virtual Real Estate Wholesaling, and over the next 10 parts of this series, I am going to give you the exact step-by-step blueprint to build this business from the ground up. We are going to demystify every single part of this process. No fluff, no gatekeeping, and no expensive guru course needed. I'm going to show you how to pick a profitable market anywhere in the US, how to find deeply discounted properties that nobody else knows about, how to talk to motivated sellers without sounding like a nervous rookie, how to accurately estimate repair costs on a house you've never seen, how to build a list of hungry cash buyers ready to pay you for your deals, and how to get the whole thing closed and a wire transfer sent to your bank account, all from the comfort of your home office, or your kitchen table, or a coffee shop. This is the ultimate guide for anyone who feels trapped. Trapped by their location, thinking, my local real estate market is too expensive or too slow. Trapped by their financial situation, thinking, I don't have 20% to put down on a property. Trapped by their 9-to-5 job, thinking, I don't have the time to drive around looking for deals. Virtual wholesaling shatters every single one of those barriers. It levels the playing field, allowing you to compete in the best markets nationwide, not just the one you happen to live in. It removes the need for capital because you're not actually buying the house. And it gives you back your time because you can build this entire operation with a phone and a computer. So let's pull back the curtain. What exactly is real estate wholesaling? Forget everything you've seen on those house flipping shows on TV. You are not buying a house, you are not renovating a house, and you are not dealing with contractors or tenants. A wholesaler is, in its simplest form, a deal finder. You are a professional marketer who is an expert at one thing: finding homeowners who need to sell their property quickly, for cash, in as-is condition. These are often people facing foreclosure, going through a divorce, inheriting a property they don't want, or landlords who are tired of dealing with tenants. They value speed and convenience over getting the absolute top dollar for their home. Your job is to find these motivated sellers and negotiate a price to buy their house. Once you and the seller agree on a price, you sign a purchase agreement. This contract gives you what's called equitable interest in the property. It means you now have the legal right to buy that house at the agreed-upon price. But here's the magic. You're not going to buy it. Instead, you're going to take that contract and sell it or assign it to an actual real estate investor. This is usually a cash buyer like a house flipper or a landlord who is looking for their next project. Let's say you find a seller who agrees to sell their distressed property for $100,000. You get it under contract. You know that a local flipper would happily pay $115,000 for that same house because after they put $30,000 in repairs, they can sell it for $200,000. So, you find that flipper and you assign your contract to them for $115,000. At the closing, the flipper brings their $115,000 to the title company. $100,000 goes to the original homeowner, and that extra $15,000? That's your assignment fee. That's your profit. It gets wired directly to you. You just made $15,000 by acting as the middleman, the connector. You found the deal and connected the seller with the buyer. You never owned the property, you never used your own money or credit, and you solved a problem for both the seller who needed a quick sale and the investor who needed their next project. That is the core of wholesaling. It is the art of finding and controlling discounted properties with a contract. Now let's add the virtual component. This is where the game completely changes. Traditionally, wholesalers would have to do all of this in their local city. They'd put up bandit signs, drive around looking for ugly houses, and meet sellers at their kitchen table. Virtual wholesaling takes that entire model and puts it online. It leverages technology to do the exact same business, but in any market you choose from anywhere in the world. Instead of driving for dollars, you're using software like Google Street View and digital tools to analyze neighborhoods in Dallas while you're sitting in Denver. Instead of meeting sellers face-to-face, you're building rapport and negotiating over the phone or on a video call. Instead of physically networking to find cash buyers, you're using social media, online data, and local property records to build a massive list of investors in your target market. Everything is digitized. Marketing is done through targeted online ads, text message campaigns, or by hiring virtual assistants to make calls for you. Property photos and videos are sent by the seller or a local boots-on-the-ground contact. Like a real estate agent or a handyman, you pay $50 to walk the property for you. The contracts are all signed electronically using services like DocuSign. And the closing? It's all handled remotely by a title company or closing attorney in that state. They coordinate everything and wire you your fee when the deal is done. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. I want to be crystal clear about that. This is a real business and it requires real work. It's a sales and marketing business first, and a real estate business second. You will face rejection. You will have to talk to a lot of people. You will have to be organized, persistent, and a relentless problem solver. But the upside is truly life-changing. There is no other business I know of with such low startup costs and such a high potential return. Your primary expenses are data and marketing, the tools you use to find the deals. But a single deal can bring in $10, $20, even $50,000 or more, which can fund your marketing for an entire year. The beauty of this model is its scalability. Once you master the process in one market, you can replicate it in another, and another. You can build a team of virtual assistants and acquisition managers to handle the day-to-day operations, turning your active income hustle into a true business that generates revenue while you focus on the bigger picture. This is the path to creating real freedom, not just financial freedom but time and location freedom as well. So if you're ready to learn a high-income skill that isn't dependent on your zip code or your bank account, you are in the right place. Buckle up. In the next part, we're going to dive into the single most important decision you'll make in this entire business: how to choose your virtual gold mine. We'll break down the exact data points and criteria to use to select a profitable market that will set you up for success from day one. Let's get started. Alright, let's dive right in. The single biggest mistake new virtual wholesalers make is thinking that a hot real estate market is a good real estate market for them. They hear about explosive growth in places like Austin, Miami, or Boise, and they immediately think, that's where I need to be. That is a fatal error. It's like a rookie surfer trying to paddle out into a 50-foot wave. You're going to get crushed. Those markets are battlegrounds. They are saturated with billion-dollar investment funds, seasoned local pros with decade-long relationships, and marketing budgets that would make your head spin. Trying to compete there virtually is like trying to win a knife fight with a spoon. You will lose. You will waste thousands of dollars on marketing that gets drowned out by the noise, and you'll burn out wondering why you can't find a single deal. Our goal isn't to compete in the major leagues on day one. Our goal is to find our own private lake, filled with fish, where we're the only one with a fishing pole. We are looking for the Goldilocks market. Not too hot, not too cold. Not too big, not too small. Not too expensive, not too cheap. Just right. So how do we find it? We use a 3-filter system. This isn't guesswork. This is a data-driven approach to systematically eliminate 99% of the US markets that are wrong for you and zero in on the top 1% that are primed for virtual wholesaling success. Let's start with filter number 1, the macro vitals. This is the 30,000-foot view of a city's health. Before we even look at a single house, we need to know if the city itself is growing or dying. First, population. You want to look for a metropolitan statistical area, or MSA, with a population between 150,000 and 750,000 people. Why this specific range? Anything smaller, and you'll struggle to find enough motivated sellers and deal flow to be consistent. It's just a numbers game. Anything larger, and you start creeping into that major league competition we talked about. The marketing costs skyrocket, and it becomes much harder to stand out and become a known player. This 150K to 750K range is the sweet spot. It's large enough to support a full-time wholesaling business, but small enough for you to dominate it from your laptop 1,000 miles away. Second, we look at job growth and economic diversity. Is the city a one-trick pony? Is everyone employed by a single factory or a single university? That's a huge red flag. If that one employer has layoffs or shuts down, the entire housing market can collapse overnight. You want a city with a diverse economy, healthcare, tech, manufacturing, education. A healthy mix. You can find this data for free on sites like citydata.com or by simply Googling city name major employers. You're looking for steady, positive job growth. This means people are moving to the city for work, which creates housing demand, which is the fuel for our entire business. Now for filter number 2, the real estate DNA. This is where we get more specific and look at the actual housing market itself. This is where the rubber meets the road. The first and most important metric here is the median home price. This is non-negotiable. You are looking for markets with a median home price between $150,000 and $400,000. Let me explain why this is the magic window. If the median price is below $150,000, the properties are often in rough, D-class neighborhoods. The profit margins are razor thin, and the pool of quality cash buyers shrinks dramatically. It's hard to make a $10,000 or $15,000 assignment fee on a $60,000 house. On the other hand, if the median price is over $400,000, your cash buyers need a lot more capital to play. The number of people who can write a check for a $500,000 fixer-upper is exponentially smaller than those who can buy a $200,000 one. Your buyer pool dries up. The $150,000 to $400,000 range ensures there are enough affordable properties for you to get under contract and a massive pool of cash buyers with enough capital to purchase them. Next, we look at the speed of the market, measured by average days on market or DOM. This tells you how quickly homes are selling. You want a DOM of under 60 days and ideally under 45. A low DOM is a sign of a healthy, fast-moving market. It means when your cash buyer buys a property from you, they can renovate it and resell it quickly. They get their money back faster, which means they're hungry to come back to you for their next deal. A high DOM, say 90 or 120 days, is a sign of a sluggish, stagnant market. Buyers are hesitant, and your deals will be much harder to sell. You can find this data on Zillow, Redfin, or your local realtor association's website. Tied directly to this is the percentage of cash sales. This is the ultimate proof. This metric tells you straight up how many active cash buyers are in a market. You're looking for markets where at least 20 to 25% of all transactions are cash. The higher, the better. If you find a market with 30% or 40% cash sales, you've found a gold mine. It's a direct indicator that there is a thriving, established ecosystem of real estate investors who are actively buying properties for cash. They are your future customers. This is your demand sitting there waiting for you to bring them supply. Finally, we apply filter number 3, the wholesaler's edge. This is the secret sauce. This is what separates the good markets from the great virtual wholesaling markets. We're looking for signs of opportunity, or what we call motivated seller indicators. The biggest one is the age of the housing stock. You want to find markets with a significant percentage of homes built before 1990, and even better before 1980. Why? Because older homes mean more deferred maintenance. They mean original roofs, old HVAC systems, outdated kitchens, and foundation issues. They mean problems. And problems for a homeowner equal motivation. A person living in a brand new, cookie-cutter home built 2 years ago is very unlikely to be a motivated seller. But a person who inherited their parents' 1970s ranch house that hasn't been updated in 40 years? That is our ideal client. You can find this data on citydata.com or census data websites. Look for cities where 50% or more of the housing stock is over 30 years old. Another key factor is looking for landlord-friendly states. States like Texas, Florida, Indiana, and Ohio have laws that tend to favor the landlord in eviction proceedings and other disputes. This might not seem directly related to wholesaling, but it is. Landlord-friendly laws attract buy-and-hold investors from all over the country. These investors are a massive part of your cash buyer pool. They're constantly looking to acquire more rental properties, and you can be the one to find them. A market in a landlord-friendly state gives you a whole extra category of buyers to sell your deals to. So let's put it all together. You're not just looking for one of these things. You're looking for the convergence of all of them. You're searching for a city with a population of 400,000 steady job growth, a median home price of $250,000, an average days on market of 38 days, 30% cash sales, and a housing stock where 60% of the homes were built before 1980. When you find a market that ticks all of those boxes, you have found your virtual gold mine. You've moved away from the crowded, bloody oceans of the major cities and found your own private, well-stocked lake. You've done the research. You've used data, not emotion. You've set the foundation for your entire business. And now, instead of fighting for scraps, You can focus your marketing dollars and your time on a target-rich environment that is statistically primed for your success. But finding the market is only the first step. It's like finding the treasure map. You still need to find the gold. And in wholesaling, the gold is not the properties. It's the people who buy the properties. Now that you've picked your gold mine, we need to build the most crucial asset in your entire business: your cash buyers list. I'm not talking about a dinky spreadsheet you find online. I'm talking about building a hungry wolf pack of verified, ready-to-close investors who will literally fight over your deals. It's the engine of your entire operation, and in the next part, we're building it from scratch. So let's talk about building that wolf pack. Before you even think about finding a single motivated seller, before you look at one ugly house, you need to build the demand. This is the single biggest mistake new wholesalers make. They spend months hunting for a deal, finally get a property under contract, and then they start frantically scrambling, posting in random Facebook groups, "Hey, got a deal in Dallas. Who wants it?" They get 100 comments from other wholesalers, tire kickers, and people who have no money, and their 14-day closing window evaporates. The deal dies and they quit, convinced wholesaling doesn't work. We're going to flip that script entirely. We build our network of cash-heavy, decisive buyers first. We will know exactly what they want down to the zip code and the number of bedrooms, so when we find a deal, we're not selling, we're delivering. It's like being a personal shopper for millionaires. You don't just wander the mall hoping to find something they might like. You know their size, their style, their budget before you even walk in the store. Think of it this way: there are two types of new wholesalers. There's Frantic Frank, who spends 90% of his time looking for deals and 10% trying to sell them. And there's Strategic Sarah, who spends her first 2 weeks doing nothing but building a small killer list of 5 to 10 verified cash buyers. When Sarah gets a deal, it's sold with a single phone call. Frank is still chasing his tail. We are going to be Strategic Sarah. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to build a list of at least 5 real, verified cash buyers in your target market before you do anything else. Here's the battle plan broken down into 3 strategies: the hunter, the farmer, and the trapper. First, the hunter. This is active outbound and gets you results today. Your first stop is the digital goldmine of public records. Every time a house is sold, the county records it. And if it was bought with cash, there's no mortgage recorded on the deed. You can access this data. Some counties have it online for free. For others, you might need a tool like PropStream batch leads, or even go to a local title company and ask nicely. You're looking for recent cash sales of distressed-looking properties in your target zip codes within the last 6 to 12 months. Find the name of the LLC or individual who bought it, skip trace their number, and call them. What do you say? Don't be weird. Be direct and provide value. "Hey John, my name is," your name. "I saw you recently bought a property over on 123 Main Street for cash. Looks like you guys do great work. I'm a local wholesaler and I specialize in finding off-market, discounted properties in that same area. Are you actively looking to add more properties to your portfolio right now?" That's it. You're not selling anything. You're offering to bring them opportunities. They will either say yes or no. If they say yes, you move to the vetting phase, which we'll cover in a minute. Hunting method 2. The for rent signs. Go on Zillow, Craigslist, or Facebook Marketplace. Look for single-family homes for rent that look a little dated. Not the luxury high-rises, the regular 3-bed, 2-bath houses. The person who owns that is a landlord. They are an investor. Call the number. "Hi, I'm calling about the property for rent on Elm Street. I'm actually not looking to rent. I'm a local investor and I work with a network of other landlords. I was just curious if you were looking to buy any more rental properties in the area in the near future." Boom. You're talking directly to a qualified buyer. Hunting method 3. The digital water cooler. Facebook groups and BiggerPockets forums. Do not be the person who spams, "Add me to your cash buyer list." That screams amateur. Instead, provide value. Find a group for your target city like Houston Real Estate Investors. Watch the posts. See who is actively talking about closing deals. See who is asking for contractor recommendations. Those are the real players. Engage with their posts, then send a private message. "Hey Sarah, saw your post about the flip you just finished in the Heights. Incredible transformation. My team specializes in finding properties just like that in the area, often before they hit the market. If you're looking for your next project, I'd be happy to keep an eye out for you. You're a peer, a deal finder, not a desperate salesman." Next, let's talk about the farmer strategy. This is about planting seeds that will grow into a buyer pipeline over time. It's slower but more sustainable. The core of this is a simple one-page website. Use something like card or lead pages. Doesn't need to be fancy. The headline should be simple and direct. Get access to off-market discounted investment properties in Phoenix, Arizona. Have a simple form, name, email, phone number, and a box that says, "What's your buying criteria?" This website is your digital business card and your automated receptionist. When you talk to potential buyers, you direct them there to join your official list. It legitimizes you. Finally, the trapper. This is about setting simple, automated traps that catch buyers while you sleep. The most effective old-school trap is a Craigslist ad. Yes, Craigslist. Go to the real estate for sale section. Post an ad with a headline like, "Handyman Special Deeply Discounted Cash Buyers Only." In the body of the ad, be honest. This is a wholesale deal. We find and contract properties for investors. Property needs a full rehab. Cash or hard money only. For access to this and other off-market deals, contact us. You might use a picture of a previous deal or even a stock photo of a distressed house. The people who respond to that ad are self-qualifying as cash buyers looking for a deal. Now, for the most important part of this entire process, it doesn't matter if you hunt, farm, or trap them. Once you have a potential buyer on the phone or in your email, you must vet them. This is the velvet rope that separates the pretenders from the players. You need to ask a few non-negotiable questions. 1. What are your specific buying criteria? If they say, "Oh, I'll look at anything," that's a red flag. A real investor knows exactly what they want. They'll say, "I'm looking for 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes under 1,500 square feet in the 75206 and 75214 zip codes that I can buy for 70% of the after-repair value minus repairs." That is a buyer. 2. How many properties have you purchased in the last 12 months? This tells you if they're a seasoned pro or a newbie with a dream. Both can be good, but you need to know who you're dealing with. 3. How are you funding your purchases? Are you using your own cash, a line of credit, or a hard money lender? This confirms they have access to capital. If they say, "I'm getting a conventional mortgage," they are not a cash buyer. They cannot close on your timeline. End the conversation politely. And the final, ultimate question. Great. To make sure I'm only sending you deals that are a perfect fit and not wasting your time, do you mind sending over a proof of funds? A redacted bank statement or a letter from your hard money lender works perfectly. That way, when I find a killer deal, I can bring it to you first because I know you're ready to close. Serious buyers will not hesitate. They have this document ready to go. They'll respect you for asking because it shows you're a professional who protects their sellers and doesn't waste time. The ones who get defensive, make excuses, or disappear. They were never going to buy your deal anyway. You just saved yourself weeks of headache. Once they're vetted, you put them into your system. A simple Google Sheet is all you need. Columns for name, phone, email, buying criteria, and a checkbox for proof of funds verified. This spreadsheet is now your gold mine. It's no longer a list of random names. It's a roster for your wolf pack. These are your partners. Your job is to feed them. You now have a system to generate and qualify the demand. You have the engine. You have the buyers who are hungry, waiting, and ready with cash in hand to buy the right deal. The entire dynamic has shifted. You're no longer a salesman begging someone to buy your contract. You are a deal finder with exclusive access, a purveyor of opportunity for a select group of clients. But a powerful engine is useless without fuel, and a hungry wolf pack needs something to hunt. You've built the who. Now it's time to find the what. In the next part, we're going to find the high-octane fuel for your wholesaling machine. The deeply discounted properties, the motivated sellers, the off-market opportunities that your new wolf pack is starving for. We're going hunting. And the first rule of this hunt is the most important. You are not looking for houses. Let that sink in. You are not looking for pretty houses, ugly houses, big houses, or small houses. You are looking for problems. You are a professional problem solver, and the houses are just the byproduct of the solution you provide. The equity you unlock, the cash you make. It's a reward for solving someone's difficult, often painful, real estate problem. Never forget that. This mindset shift is the difference between a struggling amateur and a 7-figure wholesaler. So, where do we find these problems? Where are the motivated sellers hiding? There are two primary paths on this hunt: the outbound path and the inbound path. Outbound is you actively hunting them. Inbound is you setting traps and letting them come to you. A truly dominant wholesaling business does both, but when you're starting out, you're going to live and breathe the outbound path. It's cheaper, it's faster, and it puts you in complete control. The classic boots-on-the-ground method is called driving for dollars. You literally get in your car, drive through neighborhoods, and look for houses that scream, "I have a problem." Think overgrown lawns reaching for the sky, newspapers piled up on the porch, a blue tarp flapping on the roof, boarded-up windows, or a notice from the city taped to the door. These are the telltale signs of distress. But we're virtual, right? We're not driving around Cleveland from our apartment in Miami, so we do it digitally. This is virtual driving for dollars. Fire up Google Maps. Pick a zip code in your target market, one of those working class B or C grade neighborhoods we talked about. Now, drop the little Street View person onto a random street and start driving. Click your way down the block. What do you see? You're looking for those exact same signs of distress. Is there a house where the Street View image from last year looks fine, but the satellite view from this month shows a collapsed roof or a yard full of junk? That's a lead. You can use specialized software for this too. Tools like Deal Machine or the driving feature in PropStream are built for this. They overlay property data right onto the map, so when you spot a distressed-looking property, you can instantly see who owns it, if they live there, and how much equity they have. You find a tired-looking house, click on it. See it's owned by someone who lives 3 states away and has owned it for 25 years? Bingo! That goes on your list. You're building your first, handcrafted list of potential leads. But while virtual driving for dollars is a great way to start, it's not scalable. To build a machine, you need fuel in bulk. That means pulling lists. This is the heavy artillery of virtual wholesaling. We're going to use data to pinpoint thousands of potential sellers who fit a specific profile of motivation. Your primary weapon for this is a data provider. The industry standards are platforms like PropStream, ListSource, and Batch Leads. For a monthly fee, these services give you access to a staggering amount of public record data from every county in the country. Now, just having access to data is useless. A list of every homeowner in a city is not a lead list. It's a phone book. The magic is in the filters. It's in how you slice and dice that data to pull a laser-targeted list of people who are far more likely to need your help. Let's break down the gold standard lists you need to be pulling. First, the bread and butter, the high-equity absentee owner list. Absentee owner is just a fancy term for a landlord. They don't live in the property. Maybe they inherited it, maybe they moved and kept it as a rental, maybe they're an investor. High equity means they own most or all of it outright. They've owned it for a long time, say 10 years or more, so their mortgage is low or gone. Why is this list so powerful? Because you're targeting tired landlords. People who are sick of tenants, toilets, and termites. The property is a line item on a spreadsheet to them, not their family home filled with memories. They are emotionally detached and are often more open to a cash offer that solves their management headache. Next, the pre-foreclosure list. This is a list of homeowners who have been notified by their lender that they are in default on their mortgage. They are on a clock. If they don't do something, catch up on payments, sell the house, the bank will foreclose and auction it off. These are people under immense pressure. They're facing a looming deadline, and a fast cash offer from you can be the lifeline that saves their credit and lets them walk away with some cash in their pocket instead of nothing. It's a highly sensitive situation, but one where you can provide a genuine, time-critical solution. Then you have the probate list. When someone passes away, their assets, including their house, go into a legal process called probate. The person in charge of the estate, the executor, often has to sell the house to pay off debts and distribute the inheritance to the heirs. Often, the heirs live out of state, they don't want the property, and they have no interest in cleaning it out, making repairs, and listing it with a realtor. It's an inherited burden. They just want the cash, and they want the process to be over. That's where you come in. Don't forget the government lists. These are pure gold. Think tax delinquents, people who are behind on their property taxes. This is a huge red flag for financial distress. If you can't afford a few thousand in property taxes, you probably can't afford a new roof or a broken water heater. The county can eventually seize the house for back taxes. So these sellers are highly motivated to find a solution. Similarly, look for code violations. This is a list from the city of properties with violations like grass that's too high, junk cars in the yard, or structural issues. The owner is getting fined by the city daily or weekly. They have a problem that is actively costing them money, and you have the solution. Now, here's where we separate the pros from the rookies. Any new wholesaler can pull a high-equity list. The real secret, the technique that will give you the most motivated leads imaginable, is called list stacking. Think of it like a Venn diagram. You pull your high-equity absentee list. That's circle 1. You pull your tax delinquent list. That's circle 2. The magic happens where those circles overlap. What if you could find a tired landlord who lives out of state, who is also behind on their property taxes, and also has a code violation from the city for an overgrown lawn? That isn't just a motivated seller. That is a super motivated seller. That person doesn't have one problem. They have 3 problems all converging on one property. Their motivation to sell is off the charts. Platforms like PropStream and BatchLeads have this feature built in. You can pull one list, then pull another, and find the homeowners who appear on both. Or 3 lists. Or 4. The more lists a person is on, the higher their likely motivation. An absentee owner in pre-foreclosure who just filed for divorce and is also on the tax delinquent list? You need to stop everything you are doing and contact that person immediately. That is a deal waiting to happen. List stacking takes you from fishing with a single hook to fishing with a giant net. You're using data to find the people who need you the most right now. That's the outbound path, the hunt. But what about the inbound path? Setting the traps? This is marketing. This is putting your message out there so that motivated sellers find you. The most common methods are direct mail, bandit signs, and online ads or pay-per-click. Direct mail is the old-school workhorse. You use those same lists you pulled, and you send them a physical piece of mail. A simple postcard or a personal-looking letter that says something like, "My name is your name. I'm a local investor looking to buy another property in your area. I can pay cash and close quickly. If you've ever considered selling, please give me a call." The key to direct mail is consistency. Sending one batch of 500 postcards will do nothing. You need to send them again and again and again. It's about being top of mind when that seller finally decides they've had enough. Then you have things like pay-per-click or PPC. This is running ads on Google or Facebook. You target keywords that a motivated seller would search for, like "sell my house fast for cash" or "how to stop foreclosure." When they search that term, your ad pops up. This gets you the most motivated sellers on the planet. They are actively online searching for a solution to their problem. But it's a double-edged sword. It's also the most expensive form of marketing, and it's highly competitive. Something to scale into, not to start with. The goal of all this, the virtual driving, the list pulling, the list stacking, the marketing, is to build a pipeline. It's to generate a consistent, predictable flow of leads. Because without leads, you don't have a business. You have a hobby. You've identified your market, you've built your cash buyers list. Your wolf pack is ready to eat. Now, by executing these strategies, you've located the prey. You have the names and addresses of people with real problems that you can solve. But a name on a list is still just a name. It's potential energy. The next step is to turn that potential into a conversation, and that conversation into a contract. We need to reach out and make contact. And how we do that, how we talk to these sellers, what we say, and how we say it, is the single most important skill you will ever learn in this business. It's where the rubber meets the road, and it's exactly what we're going to break down next. All right, let's get into it. The first thing you have to understand is that this isn't a sales call. If you go into this conversation thinking you're a salesperson trying to convince someone to sell their house, you've already lost. You are not a salesperson. You are a problem solver. You are a professional listener. Your one and only job on this initial call is to understand their story, diagnose their problem, and see if the solution you offer, a fast-as-is cash purchase, is a good fit for them. That's it. Forget the house for a second. You're talking to a human being who has a problem that is manifesting as a property they no longer want. Every successful seller conversation is built on 4 pillars. If you can master these 4 pillars, you will succeed. They are rapport, condition, motivation, and price. Let's call them the core 4. Get good at these and the deals will follow. So the phone rings. Or more likely, you're dialing. The seller picks up. Hello. The first pillar is rapport. You have about 15 seconds to go from being a complete stranger to someone they're willing to have a conversation with. How do you do it? Not with a cheesy script. You do it by being a normal, calm, and respectful person. Your opener should be simple. "Hi, is this the owner of 123 Main Street?" They'll say yes. "Great, my name is your name, and I'm a local property investor. I know this call is out of the blue, but I was just reaching out about your property over on Main Street and wanted to see if you'd ever considered an offer on it." Notice the language. It's low pressure. Considered an offer. Not, do you want to sell your house right now for cash? That's too aggressive. We're just testing the waters. Some people will say no and hang up. That's fine, that's part of the game. But many, especially from a motivated list, will pause. They'll say, well, I don't know, I might. What are you offering? And that is the golden phrase. That's your invitation to begin the conversation. Do not, under any circumstances, give them a price. You don't have one yet. Giving a price now is like a doctor writing a prescription before even asking about your symptoms. It's malpractice. Your response is key. You pivot directly to the second pillar. Condition. You say, that's a great question, and I'd love to get you a fair offer, but I haven't seen the property yet. Could you maybe just tell me a little bit about it? This is a beautiful, open-ended question. It gives them the floor. It shows you're interested in the property, not just a number. And now you shut up and listen. Let them talk. They'll start telling you about the number of bedrooms, the bathrooms, the yard. Your job is to be an active listener, taking meticulous notes. You're not just a stenographer. You're a detective looking for clues. Let's imagine we're talking to a seller we'll call Brenda. Brenda says, well, it's a 3-bed, 2-bath. The kitchen is older. It probably needs some work. A rookie hears needs work and just writes it down. Pro digs deeper. Okay, Brenda, when you say the kitchen is older, what does that mean to you? Are we talking original 1970s avocado green appliances, or just something from the early 2000s? This gets a laugh, it builds more rapport, and it gives you a much clearer picture. You need to become a virtual contractor. Ask about the big-ticket items. How old is the roof? When was the last time the HVAC system was serviced or replaced? What about the electrical panel and the plumbing? Don't be afraid to ask direct questions. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being a brand new model home and 1 being a total gut job, where would you rate the property? This helps them give you an honest, subjective rating that is incredibly useful. You're trying to build a mental image of the repair costs without ever stepping foot inside. Remember, every repair they mention is a $sign you'll need to account for later. Once you have a solid understanding of the property's condition, you smoothly transition to the third and most critical pillar, motivation. This is where deals are truly made. The condition of the house is the what. The motivation is the why. Why are they even having this conversation with a stranger on the phone? People don't sell perfectly good homes at a discount unless there's a compelling reason. Your job is to find that reason, not by interrogating them, but by empathizing with them. You can pivot with a simple, caring question. Okay, Brenda, thank you for sharing all that. It sounds like a great property with a lot of potential. So, what has you thinking about selling it now? And then again you go silent. Let the silence hang. People feel a natural need to fill a void in a conversation. They will tell you their story. Brenda might say, well, I was renting it out for years. I had a tenant in there who just destroyed the place and stopped paying rent. It took me 6 months to get them out, and honestly, I'm tired. I live 2 states away, and I just don't want to be a landlord anymore. Bingo. That is pure gold. She's a tired, out-of-state landlord who just went through a painful eviction. This isn't just a house for her. It's a source of stress, a financial drain, a constant headache hundreds of miles away. This is a problem you can solve. Now, you don't pounce on this. You lean in with empathy. Wow, Brenda, that sounds incredibly frustrating. I can only imagine how stressful that must have been, dealing with all that from so far away. This is a technique called labeling. You're holding up a mirror to their emotions. It shows you're listening and that you understand. You're not just another investor. You're an ally. This builds massive trust. You can dig a little deeper. So if you were to sell this place, what would that do for you? What would that free you up to do? This helps them visualize a life after the problem property is gone. It anchors the sale to a positive future, not a negative past. Motivation is everything. It tells you the seller's pain level, which directly correlates to their price flexibility. A seller with no motivation wants full market value. A seller with massive motivation wants a solution, and speed and convenience are more valuable to them than top dollar. Only after you have a firm grasp on rapport, condition, and motivation do you even approach the fourth pillar, price. And even then, you don't make an offer. You get them to give you a number first. This is a non-negotiable rule. He who names a price first loses. You can frame it like this. Brenda, based on everything you've told me, I think this is definitely something we can help you with. We can buy it completely as is, pay all the closing costs, and close on whatever day works best for you. We handle all the paperwork, all the cleanup, everything. You just get to walk away and be done with it. That being said, we are investors, so we have to buy properties at a price that makes sense for us to fix up. In a perfect world, if we could provide all that for you, what's a cash number you'd need to walk away with to make it a win for you? This is a masterfully crafted question. It recaps your value proposition, speed, convenience, as is. It sets the expectation that you are an investor and cannot pay full retail. And it asks them for their number in a low-pressure way. What you'd need to walk away with. Many will give you a number. It might be high, it might be low, but it's a starting point. It's an anchor for the negotiation. Some will say, I don't know, you're the investor, you tell me. Don't fall for it. Hold your ground politely. I understand, Brenda. The reason I ask is that I don't want to waste your time by throwing out a number that's just insulting. You know the property and your situation better than anyone. Is there at least a range you were hoping to be in? Your goal for this first call is to gather these 4 pieces of information: a good rapport, a detailed understanding of the condition, the real motivation for selling, and if possible, a starting price from them. You also want to ask about their timeline. Ideally, how quickly would you like to have this all taken care of? Once you have all that, you don't make an offer on the spot. You conclude the call professionally. Brenda, this has been extremely helpful. Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to take all this information, sit down with my team, and run my numbers to see what the best possible cash offer we can make is. I should have that ready for you in about 24 hours. Would tomorrow afternoon be a good time for a quick follow-up call? You've now set a clear expectation and a timeline. You've remained in control, gathered all the necessary intelligence, and built a foundation of trust. You've completed the most difficult and important part of the entire process. You've successfully navigated the human element. But now, you're left with all this raw data, the condition, the seller's story, their asking price. And you have to turn that qualitative information into a hard, quantitative number. A number that works for the seller, works for your cash buyer, and works for you. How do you actually calculate your offer? How do you know what a property is really worth, and more importantly, how do you know what you can afford to pay? That calculation, that formula, is the engine of your entire business. It's where the art of conversation meets the science of the deal. And it's what we're breaking down next. This is the moment where fortunes are made or lost. It's not in the cold call, it's not in the marketing, it's right here in the numbers. Because a motivated seller is only half the equation. The other half is a motivated price. And you can't just guess what that price is. You have to calculate it with precision. This calculation is called the MAO, or Maximum Allowable Offer. Memorize that acronym, MAO. It is the single most important number in your entire wholesaling business. It's your North Star, your guardrail, and your secret weapon all rolled into one. It's the number that protects you, protects your cash buyer, and ultimately ensures you get paid. So let's build it piece by piece. The formula looks like this. ARV times a certain percentage minus repair costs minus your wholesale fee equals your MAO. It sounds a little complicated, but I promise you by the end of this it'll be second nature. Let's start with the first and most critical piece of the puzzle. ARV. That stands for after repair value. This is the whole point of the deal. It's what the house will be worth after your cash buyer works their magic. After the new roof is on, the kitchen is sparkling with granite countertops, and the bathrooms look like they belong in a magazine. The ARV is the future, polished up, market-ready price of that property. It's the number that makes the entire deal attractive to an investor. If you get this number wrong, the entire foundation of your deal crumbles. So, how in the world do you figure out what a house will be worth, especially when you're hundreds or thousands of miles away? You run comps. Comps is short for comparables. You are going to become a digital detective, finding recently sold properties that are as similar as possible to the one you're looking at. Here's your checklist for a good comp. First, location. You need to stay hyperlocal. I'm talking within a 1-mile radius. And if you can get it down to a half-mile or even the same subdivision, that's golden. Real estate is all about location, and the value of a house can change dramatically just by crossing a single street. Second, property type and size. If your subject property is a 1,500 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom ranch, you need to find other 3-bed, 2-bath ranches that are also around 1,500 square feet. Don't compare a ranch to a 2-story colonial. Don't compare a 3-bedroom to a 5-bedroom. Apples to apples. Third, age and condition. Look for homes built around the same time. And most importantly, you're looking for comps that are already updated. You need to find the houses that look like your after picture, the ones that have been fully renovated and sold for top dollar. Finally, and this is non-negotiable, you must look at sold properties. Not active listings. Not pending sales. Sold. What someone is asking for a house means nothing. What someone was willing to pay for it means everything. And these sales need to be recent, within the last 6 months, or even 3 months in a fast-moving market. So where do you find this data? You can start with free sites like Zillow or Redfin. Go to the property you're analyzing, find the section for recently sold homes nearby, and start filtering. Set your parameters. Sold in the last 6 months, 3 beds, 2 baths, similar square footage. Look at the pictures. Do they look renovated? If you find 3 to 5 solid, recently sold renovated comps, you can take their average sale price, and that's a very strong indicator of your ARV. For more advanced data, you can use paid tools like PropStream or Batch Leads, which pull directly from the MLS and give you incredibly detailed information. A pro tip? Find a realtor in that market who is investor-friendly. They can run comps for you directly from the MLS, which is the gold standard of data. Let's say you do this for a property in Columbus, Ohio. You find 3 perfect comps in the same neighborhood that sold for $295,000, $305,000, and $300,000. Your ARV is right there in the middle, $300,000. Boom! You've established the future value. That's step 1. Now for step 2, the part that scares every new virtual wholesaler. Estimating repair costs. How can you possibly know what it costs to fix a house you've never set foot in? This is where you have to be resourceful. You're not a contractor and you don't need to be. You just need to be a good investigator. First, use a simple system. I call it the T-shirt method. Small, medium, large, and extra large. A small rehab is just cosmetic, paint and carpet. You can estimate that at around $10 to $15 per square foot. A medium rehab involves more, like a full kitchen and bathroom update, new flooring and fixtures. Think $25 to $40 a square foot. A large or extra large is a gut job. This means new roof, new HVAC, new windows, maybe even foundation work. This can be $50 per square foot or much, much more. So for a 1,500 square foot house needing a medium rehab, you can quickly ballpark the repairs. 1,500 times $30 is $45,000. It's not perfect, but it gets you in the right zip code. But you can get more specific. When you're on the phone with the seller, you become their eyes and ears. Ask them to walk you through the house virtually. Ask for pictures and videos. Don't just ask what needs work. Ask targeted questions. How old is the roof? When was the HVAC system last serviced? Are there any soft spots in the floors? Are the windows single pane or double pane? Look at the electrical panel in the photos. Does it have fuses or breakers? Each answer is a clue that helps you dial in your repair estimate. The ultimate cheat code here is building your team. Find a local contractor or even another wholesaler in that market who can be your boots on the ground. For a small fee, or even for free if you build a good relationship, they might do a quick 15-minute walkthrough or just look at pictures and give you a rough estimate. This is invaluable. And always add a contingency buffer. A little oops fund of 10 to 20% on top of your estimate. Because I promise you, there will always be surprises behind the walls. So if you estimate $40,000 in repairs, tell your brain it's actually $45,000 or $50,000. Plan for the worst, hope for the best. Okay, quick recap. You have the ARV, which is what the house could be worth. Let's say it's $300,000. You have the estimated repairs, which is what it will cost to get it there. Let's say that's $45,000. Now we get to the investor's side of the equation. This brings us to the third piece of the formula. The cash buyer's profit margin. Your buyer is not a charity. They are a business. They are taking on all the risk. They have to pay for the house in cash, fund the renovation, pay holding costs like taxes and insurance for months, and then pay realtor commissions and closing costs when they sell it. For all that risk and effort, they need to make a healthy profit. A common rule of thumb in the industry is the 70% rule. This means an investor wants to buy a property for 70% of its after repair value, minus the repairs. Why 70%? Because that remaining 30% buffer is where their profit, holding costs, and closing costs live. So, in our example, you take the $300,000 ARV and multiply it by 70%. That gives you $210,000. This is the absolute maximum number a flipper would want to have all in on the project before their profit. So from that $210,000, they have to pay for the repairs. Now for the final and most exciting piece, your wholesale fee. This is your paycheck. This is the reason you're doing all this work. How much do you want to make on this deal? A good starting goal for a first deal is anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. As you get more experienced, you can shoot for $15,000, $20,000, or even more. But let's be realistic and aim for a solid $10,000 assignment fee on this one. Now we assemble the machine. You take the ARV, which was $300,000. You multiply it by 70%, which gets you to $210,000. This is the number your buyer can't exceed. From that, you subtract the estimated repairs of $45,000. 210 minus 45 leaves you with $165,000. This is the price your cash buyer would love to buy the house for. But you need to get paid. So you subtract your $10,000 wholesale fee from that. 165 minus 10,000 is $155,000. There it is. $155,000. That is your MAO. Your maximum allowable offer. It's the highest price you can possibly offer the seller and still have a deal that makes sense for your cash buyer and puts $10,000 in your pocket. This number is your shield. When a seller says they want $250,000 for the house, you don't have to feel emotional or pressured. You have the data. You know that number doesn't work. Your MAO of $155,000 tells you the truth. This formula is what separates the professionals from the amateurs. The amateurs guess. They get emotionally attached to a deal. The professionals trust the math. The math keeps you safe. The math gets you paid. Now, here's the million-dollar question. You have this number, $155,000, a number that is almost certainly way lower than what the seller is hoping to hear. How do you present that offer without getting hung up on? How do you justify it, build trust, and navigate that incredibly delicate conversation to get the contract signed? Because getting the math right is only half the battle. The other half is the art of the negotiation. And that's exactly where we're going next. Let's be brutally honest. Anyone can spit out a lowball number. The internet is filled with keyboard warriors throwing out insulting offers from the safety of their basement. That's not what this is. This is a surgical procedure. It's a conversation built on a foundation of trust that you started building from the very first call. Your offer isn't an attack. It's the solution to a problem they told you they have. You are not a predator. You are a problem solver. If you go into this negotiation with the mindset of, how can I get this house for as cheap as possible? You will fail. The seller will smell your commission breath from 1,000 miles away. Your mindset has to be, how can I structure a deal that solves this person's specific problem, while also working for my business model? It's a collaboration, not a confrontation. The negotiation doesn't start when you present the offer. It started the moment you first said hello. Every question you asked, every note you took about their dog, their grandkids, their frustration with the leaky roof, that was all part of the negotiation. That was you building the emotional bank account you're about to make a withdrawal from. When you get back on the phone to present your offer, your first words shouldn't be about the price. Your first words should be a callback to their pain. Hey John, thanks for taking the time to chat again. I was just thinking about what you said last week, about how stressful it is worrying about that vacant property all the way from Florida, especially with winter coming up. I've been working hard on a way we can take that entire problem off your plate for good. See what happened there? You immediately recentered the conversation on their problem, not your numbers. You reminded them of the why behind their call. Now it's time to present the offer. And you never ever just email a number. This has to be a conversation. You have to walk them through it step by step so they feel like they're a part of the process. This is the moment of truth. You're going to justify your number by showing them the reality of the market from an investor's perspective. It sounds something like this. So John, after our chat, my team and I did a deep dive on the property. We looked at what fully renovated homes are selling for in your neighborhood, which seems to be right around the $200,000 mark. Is that what you were seeing too? You pause. You let them agree. You're bringing them along for the ride. Okay, great. Now you mentioned the roof is about 20 years old and the kitchen hasn't been touched since the 90s. For a new buyer to get a loan, and for us to be able to resell it, we'd need to put in a new roof, completely redo the kitchen and baths, replace the flooring and paint everything. We estimate those repairs conservatively at about $40,000. Again you pause. You let that sink in. These numbers shouldn't be a surprise. You should have hinted at these costs during your initial walkthrough or call. So if we start at $200,000, and subtract the $40,000 in repairs, we're at $160,000. Now, on top of that, when any investor sells a property, we have to pay realtor commissions, which is usually 6%, so that's another $12,000. Plus, there are closing costs, taxes, and insurance while we hold the property, which adds up to another, say, $8,000. So after all those expenses, the number we'd have to be at to make this project viable is $140,000. However, John, because we can close so quickly and you've been so straightforward with us, I was able to get my partner to approve a cash offer of $145,000. What this number means for you is that on the closing day you choose, you walk away with a check for that full amount. No repairs, no commissions, no fees, and no more headaches from Florida. That is how you present an offer. It's not an arbitrary number pulled from thin air. It's a logical conclusion based on facts you've established together. You've shown your work. You've justified the math. And now you go completely silent. The most powerful tool in any negotiation is the uncomfortable silence. Don't speak. Don't justify. Don't fidget. Let them be the first to talk. And 9 times out of 10, their response will be some version of an objection. This is where amateurs panic and pros get to work. The most common objection: "That's just way too low. I was hoping for at least $170,000. Your first instinct is to get defensive. Don't. Instead, agree and validate. "John, I completely understand. Believe me, if I were in your shoes and I heard that number for the first time, I would probably feel the exact same way. It's a lot to process. You've just disarmed them. You're not an adversary. You're an empathetic listener." Now, pivot back to their motivation. Can I ask a clarifying question? The $170,000 you were hoping for, what was that number based on? Let them talk. Maybe it's Zillow, maybe it's what their neighbor's pristine house sold for. Then, gently bring them back to reality and the value you offer. I get it. And a retail buyer, someone who plans to live in the house, might be able to pay closer to that number eventually. But they'd also likely ask for $10,000 in repairs after the inspection, take 60 days to close, and their financing could fall through at the last second. The $145,000 we're offering is a guaranteed closing in as little as 2 weeks. The real question is, what's more important to you right now? Holding out for a few extra $1,000s that might not ever materialize, or having this entire problem solved and cash in your bank account by the end of the month? You're not selling a price. You're selling speed, convenience, and certainty. Objection number 2. I have another offer from someone else for $155,000. Again, don't panic. This is often a bluff, but you have to treat it as real. Your response should be calm and inquisitive. That's great news, John. I'm glad you have options. To make sure you're comparing apples to apples, is that other offer also a cash offer with no contingencies? Are they also agreeing to pay all of your closing costs? Have you seen proof of their funds? You're not questioning their integrity. You're educating them. You're planting seeds of doubt about that other offer. Most amateur investors can't actually close. Their offers are full of weasel clauses. You, on the other hand, are presenting a rock-solid, reliable solution. You are the sure thing. Objection number 3. I need to think about it and talk to my wife/brother/dog. This is a classic stall tactic. You need to create a sense of professional, ethical urgency. I completely respect that, John. This is a huge decision and you should absolutely feel comfortable. I do need to be transparent with you, though. We are an active investment company, and we look at dozens of properties every week. The capital I've allocated for your property is liquid right now, but I can't guarantee it will be here next week if another deal comes along. I can confidently hold this offer for you for the next 24 hours. While you're thinking, what is the main thing that's giving you pause? Is it the price, the timeline, or something else? Maybe I haven't explained something clearly enough. This forces them to name their real objection, which you can then solve. It also frames the offer not as an indefinite thing, but as a real, tangible opportunity that has a deadline. Once you've navigated the objections and they've verbally agreed, you don't hang up the phone. You move to close immediately. Fantastic, John. I'm really excited to help you get this taken care of. The next step is just some simple paperwork. I'm going to send over a 1-page purchase agreement to your email right now. It just outlines the price we agreed on, the closing date we discussed, and the fact that we're buying it as is. It's all done through DocuSign, so you can sign it right on your computer. Do you have a minute for me to walk you through it once it arrives? You assume the sale and make the next step sound incredibly simple and non-threatening. You are guiding them to the finish line. You stay on the phone with them until you hear the ding of the signed document notification in your inbox. You got the signature. The dopamine hits. You're ecstatic. But you've just made a legally binding promise to buy a house, and you don't have the money. Now the real race begins. Finding a cash buyer before your contract deadline expires. How do you build a list of hungry buyers from scratch, market the property effectively without ever setting foot in it, and get them to sign on the dotted line for a higher price? That's the engine room of this whole business, and we're heading there next. This is where the rubber meets the road. Forget everything else for a second. If you don't master this part, you don't have a business, you have a very expensive hobby. Finding motivated sellers is half the battle, but finding cash buyers? That's the half that pays you. Amateurs find a property, then panic, scrambling to find anyone to buy it. Professionals do the exact opposite. They build an army of hungry, qualified cash buyers first, and then they go out and find the exact type of property that army wants to devour. You're not a house hunter. You're a deal creator. Your product isn't the house. Your product is the deal, and your customer is your buyer's list. So, how do we build this list from scratch, sitting at a computer 1,000 miles away? We become digital detectives. Our first stop is the treasure trove of public data. Platforms like Zillow, Redfin, or my personal favorite, PropStream, are your new best friends. We're not looking at what's for sale. We're looking at what just sold. Set your filter to properties sold within the last 3 to 6 months in your target zip codes. Now here's the key filter for cash sales. How can you tell? The data will often say cash. Or you can look at public records and see there was no mortgage recorded with the sale. The buyer of that property is a proven, active, cash-in-hand investor. They just wrote a massive check for a property just like the ones you'll be finding. Their name is right there in the public record. You take that name, run it through a skip tracing service, and in minutes you have their phone number and email. They are your buyer number one. Do this 100 times and you have a list of the most active players in your market. Next, we reverse engineer the rental market. Go back to Zillow or even Facebook Marketplace and search for properties for rent. Every single one of those listings represents a landlord, an investor who believes in that neighborhood enough to own property there. Many of these listings have a direct phone number for the owner or property manager. You call them. It's a simple, non-threatening script. Hi, I saw your rental on Elm Street. My name is your name, and I'm a local wholesaler. I specialize in finding off-market, distressed properties that make great rentals. I'm just calling to see if you were looking to add any more properties to your portfolio this year. It's that easy. Some will say no, but many will say, yeah, absolutely. What do you have? Boom. Add them to your list. They've just told you exactly what they want. Then you dive into the digital communities. Facebook is a goldmine. Search for groups like your target city real estate investors or your state cash buyers. Join them, but don't just spam your deals. That's what amateurs do. Instead, engage. Answer questions. Provide value. Become a familiar face. Post things like, hey everyone, I'm a virtual wholesaler focusing on the North Dallas area. I'm looking to connect with a few serious cash buyers who are ready to close on March 2nd fix and flips. Who's active right now? You will be flooded with responses. These are people actively looking for the very thing you provide. Once you start building this list, you must qualify them. A list of 1,000 unqualified buyers is worthless. A list of 10 serious, vetted, cash-ready investors is a money-printing machine. You need to get on the phone with them and ask the hard questions. First, what are your buying criteria? Get specific. What zip codes? What property type? Are they looking for single-family homes, duplexes? What's their ideal price range and desired profit margin? This isn't just for you. It's for them. It shows you respect their time and won't waste it with deals that don't fit. Second, how are you funding your purchases? Cash, hard money, private money. This tells you how fast they can close. If they say conventional loan, they're not a cash buyer. Be polite but move on. You need buyers who can close in 7 to 14 days, just like your contract with the seller says. And the final, most important question, the one that separates the pretenders from the professionals. For a great deal, would you be able to provide a recent proof of funds? A real buyer will not hesitate. They'll send you a bank statement or a letter from their hard money lender without a second thought. Anyone who gets defensive or makes excuses is a tire kicker. Thank them for their time and focus on the real players. Now you have a property under contract and a vetted list of buyers ready to pounce. It's time to market the deal. This is your virtual showcase. You need to create a simple, clean, and irresistible deal package. The number one most important element? Photos and video. This is non-negotiable. Your boots-on-the-ground person is your lifeline here. You need them to take at least 30 to 50 high-quality photos covering every single room, the exterior, the roof, the foundation, and any and all damage. Even more powerful is a single unedited walkthrough video. Just have them walk through the front door with their smartphone and narrate what they see. Okay, walking into the living room, you can see the carpet is stained, needs to be replaced. Walls need paint. Moving into the kitchen. This raw, authentic video builds immense trust. Your deal package, usually sent as an email, should lay out the numbers with crystal clarity. The address, the property details, and the big four numbers. The after repair value or ARV. The estimated cost of repairs. Your purchase price from the seller. And finally, your assignment fee, which is baked into the final price you offer them. Be honest and conservative with your numbers. Experienced investors can smell inflated ARVs and underestimated repair costs from a mile away. If you build a reputation for having accurate, reliable numbers, buyers will fight over your deals. With the package ready, you unleash your marketing blitz. The first wave is an email blast to your entire qualified list. The subject line should be electric. Hot deal in Austin, Texas, 30% below market, won't last. Then for your A-list, the buyers who have closed with you before or who you know are serious, you send a personal text message. Hey Sarah, just sent you an email about a property on Oak Lane. It's a perfect fit for your buy box. Take a look and let me know if you want to walk it. This personal touch is everything. Finally, you pick up the phone and call your top 3 to 5 buyers directly. John, I have one that screamed your name the second I saw it. The next question is always, when can I see it? You're 1,000 miles away, so you're not running over to open the door. You have 2 primary strategies. The best is the open house model. You coordinate with the seller and your boots-on-the-ground contact to schedule a single 1 to 2 hour window on a specific day. You tell all your interested buyers, we'll be showing the property this Tuesday between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. Please come then. This creates a powerful sense of urgency and social proof. When buyers see 5 other investors walking through the property at the same time, it triggers their competitive instincts. It's no longer just a house, it's a prize to be won. If an open house isn't possible, the second option is a contractor lockbox, but only with the seller's explicit permission. You give the code only to your most trusted, vetted buyers and schedule specific times for them to go. After the showings, you set a deadline. Please submit your highest and best cash offer by 5 p.m. tomorrow. We will be making a decision then. This prevents buyers from dragging their feet and forces them to put their best foot forward immediately. Once you accept an offer, you move lightning fast. You send the winning buyer an assignment of contract. This is a simple 2-page document that legally transfers your rights in the original purchase agreement to them. It clearly states their purchase price, which includes your fee. And here is the most critical part of securing your buyer. They must immediately wire a non-refundable earnest money deposit, typically between $5,000 and $10,000, directly to the title company. This is their skin in the game. It proves their seriousness and locks them into the deal. Once that deposit hits escrow, you can breathe a little easier. You've successfully connected a distressed property with a cash buyer, all without ever leaving your home office. You've navigated the 2 most complex parts of the deal, finding the seller and finding the buyer. Now all that's left is to get it across the finish line. How does the title company work its magic to coordinate between you, the seller, and the new buyer? How do you ensure you get paid that assignment fee you've worked so hard for, without ever touching the buyer's money? That final crucial step, the closing, is where the puzzle comes together. And at the heart of that closing process is the single most important partner you will have in any virtual wholesale deal: the title company, or, in some states, a real estate attorney. Think of them as the neutral, third-party referee. They don't work for the seller, they don't work for the buyer, and they don't work for you. They work for the integrity of the transaction itself. Their job is to follow the letter of the law and the instructions laid out in the contracts to ensure the property's title is transferred cleanly, legally, and that everyone gets paid exactly what they're owed. This is not a step you can skip, and it's not a place to cut corners. A great, investor-friendly title company is the machine that makes the entire virtual closing possible. The key words there are investor-friendly. Not all title companies are created equal. Many traditional title companies primarily deal with standard realtor-led transactions for owner-occupants. If you walk in with an assignment of contract, they might look at you like you have 3 heads. They don't understand it, they don't want to understand it, and they'll often refuse to do the deal. So, how do you find this magical entity? This investor-friendly title company that will be the linchpin of your virtual business? You do your homework. The best way is to tap into the local network of the market you're targeting. Go into local real estate investor Facebook groups for that city or state and ask, who is the best investor-friendly title company in the area? Who understands assignments and double closings? You will get a flood of recommendations. Investors love to share the partners who make their lives easier. If you can't find a referral, start making calls. Call title companies in the area and ask them two simple, direct questions. First, do you handle assignments of contract for real estate wholesalers? And second, are you familiar and comfortable with double closings? Their answer will tell you everything you need to know. If they hesitate, sound confused, or say no, thank them for their time and move on. If they say, absolutely, we do those all the time, you've found a potential partner. You want the company that doesn't flinch, the one that sees your business as normal, everyday stuff. Once you have your investor-friendly title company selected, the process officially kicks off the moment you send them two key documents: your original, signed purchase and sale agreement with the seller, and your signed assignment agreement with your cash buyer. This is called opening escrow. The moment they receive those documents, the title company's machine whirs to life. Their first and most critical task is to conduct a title search. They dive deep into the public records associated with that property. They are looking for any clouds on the title, unpaid property taxes, mechanics liens from a contractor who didn't get paid, outstanding mortgages, IRS liens, city code violations, or judgments against the owner. Anything that could prevent the seller from legally transferring clean and clear ownership. If they find issues, and they often do with distressed properties, it's not a deal killer. This is where a great title company shines. They will work to resolve these issues. For example, if there's an old mortgage on the property, they will request a payoff statement from the lender. If there are back taxes owed, they'll get the exact amount from the county. All of these debts will then be paid off at closing using the end buyer's funds, before the seller gets a single penny. The title company ensures that the buyer is receiving the property free and clear of all those old encumbrances. While the title search is happening, the title company's closing agent, or escrow officer, becomes the central point of communication. They coordinate everything. They'll reach out to the seller to get their information. They'll communicate with the buyer to confirm the funding details. And they'll keep you in the loop. Now let's talk about the two main ways the actual transaction is structured at closing: the assignment and the double close. The most common, simplest, and cheapest method is the assignment of contract. As we've discussed, you're not selling the property. You are selling your rights to purchase the property, as laid out in your contract. In this scenario, the title company prepares one set of closing documents. The primary closing statement, often called a HUD-1 or closing disclosure, will show the final sale price the end buyer is paying. It will list the amount being paid to the seller, the amounts being paid to clear any liens or back taxes, and right there as a line item, it will show your assignment fee. It's transparent. The buyer sees it, the seller sees it. The end buyer brings the total amount, the seller's price plus your fee, to the closing table. The title company then disperses the funds, paying the seller their portion and you your portion. However, sometimes an assignment isn't the best fit. Maybe you've negotiated a fantastic deal and your assignment fee is so large, say $50,000 or $60,000, that you don't want the seller or the buyer to see it and potentially get cold feet or try to renegotiate. Or maybe your original purchase agreement has a clause that says it's non-assignable. In these cases, you'll use a double closing, also known as a simultaneous closing. A double close is exactly what it sounds like: two separate back-to-back transactions that happen on the same day, often within minutes or hours of each other. The first transaction is the A to B transaction, where the seller A sells the property to you, B. The second is the B to C transaction, where you, B, immediately sell the property to your end cash buyer, C. You are technically the owner of the property, even if it's only for a few minutes. This keeps your profit margin private, as the seller only sees the A to B closing statement, and the buyer only sees the B to C closing statement. But this raises a critical question. If you have to buy the property first, even for a moment, where do you get the money? You don't use your own cash. You use something called transactional funding. Transactional funding is a specialized, ultra-short-term loan provided by private lenders specifically for double closings. They will lend you the full amount needed for the A to B purchase, on the condition that you have a signed contract with your end buyer, C. to immediately buy it back from you for a higher price. The transactional lender's money is used for the first closing, and then it's immediately paid back, along with their fee, from the proceeds of the second closing. Your profit is what's left over. Your investor-friendly title company will know exactly how to handle this and can often recommend a transactional lender they work with. Regardless of whether you use an assignment or a double close, the final step is the signing. This is the part that befuddles most people about virtual wholesaling. How do people sign the documents if they're in another state? The answer is simple: mobile notaries. The title company handles this entire process. For the seller, they will hire a licensed and bonded mobile notary public in the seller's city. This notary will print out the closing package, drive to the seller's home, their workplace, or even a local coffee shop at a scheduled time. The notary will verify the seller's identity, watch them sign all the documents, notarize them, and then immediately ship the completed package back to the title company via FedEx or UPS. It's incredibly efficient. For the cash buyer, it's often even simpler. Many experienced cash buyers are comfortable with e-signature platforms like DocuSign for many of the documents and can wire their funds directly to the title company's escrow account from their bank. Once the title company has the signed documents from all parties and the buyer's funds are secured in escrow, they are cleared to close. They record the new deed with the county, officially transferring ownership. And then comes the moment you've been working for. The title company disperses the funds. They pay off the seller, and they wire your assignment fee or your profit from the double close directly into your bank account. There is no feeling quite like it. Seeing that wire transfer hit your account for $5, $10, $20, or even $50,000 for a deal you orchestrated from a laptop hundreds or thousands of miles away is the moment it all becomes real. It's proof that the system works. You've successfully navigated the entire process, from finding a motivated seller to closing the deal with a cash buyer, all without ever seeing the house in person. You've closed the deal, the money is in your bank account, and you've just proven the concept. So what's next? How do you turn this one-time win into a repeatable, scalable, and predictable business that can change your financial future? And more importantly, what are the hidden traps, the legal landmines, and the business-killing mistakes that can sink your new venture, even after a successful close? That's what we're breaking down in the final crucial part of this series. The biggest mistake you can make after that first check hits your bank account is breathing a sigh of relief. That feeling of accomplishment, that rush of seeing a 5-figure wire transfer with your name on it, it's intoxicating. But it's also a siren song, luring new wholesalers onto the rocks of complacency. You think you've crossed the finish line. The truth? You've just finished the tutorial level. The real game is just beginning. That first profit isn't party money. It's not for a down payment on a new car or a lavish vacation. It's seed capital. It's the fuel for the fire you're about to build. The number one business-killing mistake is treating your first win like lottery money instead of what it really is. Your first round of investment funding self-funded. Because while you're celebrating, the market is moving. The leads that got you this deal are drying up. Your competition is still sending out mailers, still running ads, still making calls. The moment you stop pedaling is the moment you start rolling backward. So, what's step one after the closing papers are signed and the money is real? It's not finding the next deal. It's building a fortress. You just captured a valuable prize, now you have to protect it. This starts with formalizing your business. If you did that first deal as a sole proprietor and individual, your first order of business is to form an LLC, a limited liability company. Why? Because right now, if anything goes wrong, a lawsuit from a disgruntled seller, a dispute with a buyer, your personal assets are on the line. Your car, your house, your savings account. An LLC creates a shield, a legal separation between you, the person, and your business, the entity. It's the single most important step in moving from a side hustle to a real defensible business. Next, you walk into a bank, or more likely go online and open a dedicated business bank account. That first check gets deposited there. All business expenses, from your marketing costs to your subscription for a skip tracing service, get paid from this account. All future assignment fees get deposited into this account. This isn't just for organization. It's for your sanity and your survival. Come tax time, trying to separate a year's worth of business transactions from your lattes and grocery bills is a nightmare that can lead to costly mistakes and IRS audits. Keep business and personal finances separate. No exceptions. This is non-negotiable. Now that your fortress is built, it's time to build the engine. The system that will take you from one lucky deal to a predictable, consistent flow of profitable deals. This is where you scale. Look back at your first deal. Where did that lead come from? Was it a direct mail campaign? A Facebook ad? Driving for dollars and cold calling? Whatever it was, you now have proof of concept. You have a winning lottery ticket, and the smart move isn't to cash it in and walk away. It's to use the winnings to buy more tickets. Take a significant portion of your profit, 30, 40, even 50%, and pour it directly back into the marketing channel that worked. If 1,000 mailers got you that deal, your first check just bought you the ability to send 5,000 next month. You're not guessing anymore. You're operating from data. You're doubling down on a proven winner. This is how you create momentum. This is how you go from being a deal finder to a lead generation machine. But you can't do it all yourself. The next phase of scaling is buying back your time. Your time is your most valuable asset, and it should be spent on the highest value tasks. Negotiating with sellers, talking to buyers, and making strategic decisions. It should not be spent on sifting through lists, stuffing envelopes, or managing social media posts. Your first hire should almost always be a virtual assistant or a VA. For a few dollars an hour, you can hire someone from another country to handle the administrative, time-consuming tasks. They can manage your lead lists, screen incoming calls, respond to initial email inquiries, and organize your CRM. Hiring a VA isn't an expense. It's an investment in your own focus. It frees you up to do the things that only you can do, the things that actually make you money. Simultaneously, you need to solidify your boots on the ground. That person who helped you get photos? That real estate agent who gave you a second opinion on the ARV? Formalize these relationships. Find a go-to person in each of your target markets, a reliable agent, a handyman, a photographer, who you can pay on a per deal or hourly basis. This team is your eyes and ears. They make virtual wholesaling possible. They are your competitive advantage. As you build this engine, you must document everything. Create a standard operating procedure, an SOP, for every single task in your business. How to pull a list. The script for a first call with the seller. The checklist for vetting a cash buyer. The step-by-step process for sending a contract. Write it down. Record your screen. Create a playbook. Why? Because a business that only exists in your head is a job. A business that exists in a playbook is an asset. It's something that can run without you. Something you can one day sell. It's the difference between being a freelancer and being a founder. Now let's talk about the landmines. As you grow, the stakes get higher, and the legal and ethical lines become even more important. The biggest legal trap in wholesaling is blurring the line between marketing a contract and illegally brokering real estate. Remember, you are selling your equitable interest in a property, which is granted to you by your purchase agreement. You are selling the contract. You are not selling the property itself. This is a critical distinction. Your marketing language must reflect this. Avoid using phrases like for sale, or listing the property on public sites like the MLS or Zillow, unless you are a licensed agent or are working with one. Your assignment agreement should be drafted, or at least reviewed by a real estate attorney in the state you're operating in. Don't just download a generic template from the internet. State laws vary dramatically. Spending a few $100s on an attorney to create an ironclad contract can save you hundreds of thousands in a future lawsuit. And then there's the silent killer of every new entrepreneur: taxes. That $20,000 assignment fee is not $20,000 of take-home pay. As a self-employed individual or LLC, nobody is withholding taxes for you. You are responsible for paying federal, state, and self-employment taxes. That's Social Security and Medicare. A good rule of thumb is to immediately set aside 30 to 40% of every single profit check into a separate savings account specifically for taxes. Do not touch it. It is not your money. It belongs to the government. Forgetting this is the fastest way to end up with a crippling tax bill and penalties that can sink your entire operation before it even gets started. Talk to a CPA. Get professional advice. Treat your taxes with the seriousness they deserve. Ultimately, the journey from your first deal to building a sustainable business is a mindset shift. It's a shift from being a hustler chasing one-off paydays to being an architect building a machine. It's about thinking in terms of systems, not just sales. It's about reinvesting, delegating, and protecting what you've built. This 10-part series has given you the complete blueprint. From understanding the core concept to finding your market, from talking to sellers to closing the deal, and now to scaling it into a real business. You have the step-by-step instructions. You have the map through the minefield. The information is no longer the obstacle. The only variable left is you. Your willingness to take action, to be disciplined when that first check comes in, to be resilient when you hit a roadblock, and to have the vision to see beyond a single transaction toward building an enterprise. The blueprint is in your hands. Now it's time to go build the house.